Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Stoic Studios' The Banner Saga. In the previous episode, we had fought another battle, and I'm starting to get a feel for the way the system works. I had determined, at least by my own sort of empirical methods, that chasing the enemy down, as we did 2 episodes ago in episode number 8, is a bad idea unless you are absolutely sure you can win, because it appears as though you take the full penalty in terms of losses. Basically, you lose as though you lost the first battle if you lose the second battle, so it's kind of an all or nothing, kind of push all the chips to the center maneuver. In this case, we do need to get people healed up, so let's have a look at our troops here. We're going to go to our hero's tent. We had camped right after that last battle. We do have Mogir, who's down, and I wanted to take a look at Gris and see what he was good at, so let's have a look at his skills. He has Battering Ram. The strong arm smashes into an enemy or ally, knocking them back up to 4 spaces and pushes them through anyone in the way. It does armor damage and adds 1 more armor damage to the target for each unit that they pass through. The ability can be used on friend or foe, making it versatile in many situations. That's interesting because I can't think of a situation in which I would want to damage my own armor, but then again, they're thinking of it, maybe his eyes start to glow when he does that ability. That is super awesome. He has a little bit of a Super Saiyan thing going on right there. It's like, whum. That's the sound that I imagine that eye glowing sounds like, just whum, 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 whum. Kind of like an old lamp. But anyways, I guess you might be able to knock your own guy out of combat to save him, like knock him through your own line or something of that case. I don't know. It's one of those things we're going to have to play with. He has Return the Favor as well. And it appears as though he's got a shield banger ability, even though he's a strong arm, so that makes him kind of a unique character. He's also using a spear, which makes me wonder a little bit if he can attack diagonally, because other spearmen have been able to do that thus far. I don't know if he's going to be kind of a walrusy looking hybrid, but he also has kind of tip caps on his horns. I would totally have tip caps on my horns too. They'd be all etched out in total badass runes with like Odin and all kinds of crazy Thor and Loki and Tanganost all over them. Yeah. Anyways, before I go off drilling on myself over Norse mythology here, let us have a look at who has leveled up thus far. We've got a promotion on the Breeze for Hakon. Either that or it's just the result of the cabbage everybody's been eating. So let's go for a promotion up to rank 4. It's going to increase his it's going to be 15 renown, though. That's a really expensive upgrade. It appears as though he's been doing a large majority of our killing. I don't know, you guys. I don't know if it's going to be worth it to upgrade him over other people. I do think that Mogir is probably more important because we need to keep him alive in battle. Every single fight we lose Mogir, and unfortunately that is the nature of being a tank. You do tend to die a lot more than everybody else. However, he's got an improvement in his abilities, so let's do Mogir first. We're going to go ahead and get Mogir done. And he's now a level 3 Shield Master. His ability has upgraded, which means Return the Favor does 3 armor damage back now when he returns it, which is going to be fantastic for us. That's really going to shift things in our favor for the future. And we've got a couple of points to distribute here. Now, we could potentially give him a bit more. We should probably give him a tad more willpower, but then again, let's bang out his armor. Like, I really want his armor to be phenomenal so that he can just stand in the thick of it, and thus far it hasn't been working very well. I will put a little addendum in this strategy that, you know, my strategy thus far has really just been him kind of tanking with his face and just getting hit over and over and over again while everybody else gets into position then finishes off the enemy, but up until now it's worked okay, so let's keep complaints down. Gunnulf, Burseed, nothing. Luden, Eric, nobody else is ready to go except for Hakon. I don't know if I should save this extra renown or promote him on up. That's kind of an interesting system that they have in place where you continue to accumulate kills, so there's no cap. Like, if you level up, you don't stop gaining XP. Like, you can basically backlog your level ups, which makes it an interesting situation in which you've got to choose when you want to level up certain people. Kind of an odd circumstance, and I do like it, actually. I really do like that. We're going to leave Hakon where he's at right now in case we come across stores or anything in the future. We've got plenty of food, but I do want to buy, like, new gizmos and gadgets if we can have them. Why can't he? Oh, he can't equip items until we level him up or something, maybe. I don't know. That's weird. Do I not have any? I'm getting my items mixed up between here and I suppose I could swap in Gris for Mogir. What are Gris's stats looking like, though? He's only got 12 armor, which makes him a little bit more fragile. Then again, he also hits harder than Mogir, and his linkage is better. He's also a better shield shatterer than everybody else. Interesting. Well, I am going to be using his Battering Ram ability a lot, especially once the enemy gathers around him. We're just going to be battering ramming like crazy. Basically, we will thrust in all directions aggressively. I think I'm going to take 2 days off right now, and then we're going to leave people with 1 day remaining. So let's go to the rest hut. And we're going to take a little nappy poo and a second little nappy poo, and now we are ready to go. Let me make sure that that worked out the way that I wanted it to. I don't know what the timer is on these, like if they only get a day back at the end, or if it keeps track of the hour in which they're healed. Not really sure there. Let's continue on our way. Pet the woolly thingy of traveling. There's somebody singing into a megaphone right now from the background. I don't know where they got a megaphone at, but they got one. You wander through the small village where there had been a cacophony of battle before. Now an eerie silence hangs over the place. Bodies of Dredge and villagers make a macabre path to houses that have been ripped apart as though by a tornado. Ursa stops in her tracks. You hear that? She all but whispers. It sounds like crying. Soon you discover a trapdoor partially hidden by a carpet. Let's open it. A woman's scream dies in her throat at the sight of Varl instead of Dredge. Men and women both are huddled together. A baby cries on her mother's shoulder. They are clearly awed to see so many warriors. What do we do now? They ask. Well, they can stay here. Go back to Strand. Yeah, let's send them to Strand. They give you worrying looks, but eventually begin gathering their things. Think they'll make it? Asks Smokier, doubt in his voice. You don't know, but trying has got to be better than starving to death in a pit. I'm not gonna send, I'm sorry, but we can't afford. We've been taking lots of attrition in these last couple battles. I've got to look out after my people over everybody else, so, you know, tribalism is what it is, but we got to keep it real. We lost 30 supplies. Why did we give them supplies? Eric watches. I almost feel guilty about this, he says. I know Strand. Even if they make it in one piece, the locals will tear them apart. Not literally, of course, but, well, I don't know, maybe literally. I might join them. We need you here, Eric. Not from what I've seen, he says, but taps the toe of his boot on the ground and returns to the caravan. No, I do like his ability, and he sunders armor really, really well, so I kind of want to keep him around. I'm going to try. Every time he tries to leave me, I'm going to be like, no, and I'm going to wrap my arms around his ankles and, like, send him flowers and do everything that I can in order to get him to stay around. We have a market here, which is exactly what I was worried about. Let's go have a look and see what they've got. They've got iron bands. Strapping some strips of metal to your wrists may give you a heavier swing if you can hit your target, so it's +1 to strength there. A padded undercoat, which will give you an extra bit of armor. A singing stone, which will give us 2 will per kill instead of 1. And the lightning runestone. A 10% chance to double your damage, but it also gives you a chance of drawing aggro. I think what I'd like to do here is let's take the iron bands, and we're just going to take some basic equipment. We'll take the iron bands, and we'll take the padded armor so that we can give them to people. I mean, we need to increase people's baseline statistics or their attributes as best we can before we move on. I mean, giving a little bit of extra armor to anybody is always a nice thing. Let's give that to him. He's going to have the padded undercoat. And then we're going to give Gunnulf the extra strength right there to maybe give himself... Oh, it looks like that'll probably put him up to 18 on a swing. I don't know if that's going to allow him to exceed his boundaries. We'll see what happens right there. Alright, it's time to hit the road. So cue our trucker music and get our fruit snacks ready, I guess. I like to eat fruit snacks when I'm on the road. That's just me personally. When I'm on like a long road trip, I am all about the fruit snacks. Those things are incredible. I also have these weird times where I just stop at like rest stops and I just sit there for a while. I'm not very efficient when I travel. You hear a shout echo on the wind, a standard Varl greeting. A caravan of Varl are heading your direction, probably a few hundred in total. You meet them halfway. You must be with Vognir. His name is Fasselt. Was. Vognir didn't make it. Are you serious? It's getting grim out here, but I didn't expect that. You're flying the Schlid banner. What's happening? Isn't Ulfar in charge here? I'm Fasselt. Ulfar's still in Schlid, in case he needs to be. He sent me to meet Vognir. Well, you, I guess. We've seen nothing happening in Schlid yet. What do you mean? No Dredge. They never came through Schlid. They're all pouring out of Ridgehorn. We only just found out about it. One group went that way, and we came here. Ridgehorn, the fort on the bay? That place has been abandoned for hundreds of years. Yeah, maybe that's why they're there. By all accounts, it looks like another damned invasion. Luden forces his way into the conversation. Wait a godless minute. What did you do? Careful now. You be careful. What did you start? You think men don't remember history? The long banner hangs in Argberang. The Second Great War nearly screwed us all. What did you do this time? Who in the fane is this? God, I don't even know what to say right here. Well, this could have diplomatic problems because he is a prince, obviously. You don't want to threaten to batter the king's son. However, banishing Luden isn't something that I'm really too privy on either. I think I'm just going to try and circumvent it. No one to worry about anyways. Luden's head swivels in your direction, eyes wide. He seems uncertain whether to be insulted or threatened. Insulted. That's not even a word. That sounds like somebody has been elected sultan. Insulted or threatened. There we go. What orders did Ulfar give you, Fasolt? I'm supposed to offer any support that you need. I've got 330 Varl behind me, and Ulfar wants to know what's happening at Ridgehorn. What's your plan? Well, it sounds like we're going to Ridgehorn. I'll have my Varl fall in line. Yours to command, Hakon. Are you insane? He just said an army of Dredge are pouring out of that fort. Go on to Grofheim then, Prince. Having your blood on my hands would be worse than doing nothing. That shuts Luton up for a second. You can see the battle raging in his head. He looks desperate for safety, but he didn't expect to flee like a coward. He expected you to come along. He glances at his men. We've already come this far. If this is the Varl's doing, I'll know of it, and so will my father. Besides, you need my help and my fighters. If I go, so do Ursa and Bercy. Luden's unexpected flip-flop catches you like a swift kick to the shins. Mogir can't contain a chuckle. Ha! The prince has courage after all. Do whatever you like, Luden. Paint me the villain, Hakon. What do I care? I'm sick of you being the only one to do as he pleases in this alliance. These are Varl lands. We're facing an army of Dredge. How much experience do you have in these matters? True, mankind has never provoked them into a war. You're going for a third. Is taunting the Dredge into genocide a game for your kind? I don't want to hit him in the face. I want to keep, my inner diplomat is really trying to make sure this doesn't escalate into just a shit-eating situation, so I'm just gonna swallow my pride, since that's what we the Varl appear to be good at, and will walk away. You curse and threaten pandemonium. The prince has chosen to be no responsibility of yours. If Luton stays, so do Fasolt's warriors. They join the caravan. Plus 330 Varl. Now that is gonna cost us in supplies. As you can see, we dropped down by, oh, they brought supplies with them. How nice of them. They brought some goodies. Some of those Varlish candy cakes. That's all they live on. I don't know if you knew that. The Varl, they don't like to publicize this, but they live almost completely and totally off candy. The hike approaching the Godstone is murder. You recall how most Godstones were built on hills overlooking other Godstones so that travelers could follow them and find their way between the cities. It does nothing to ease your pains. Dredge, shouts Mogir. I'm sorry, I can't shout into my mic. I couldn't be like, Dredge! Shouts Mogir near the front of the caravan. Suddenly black rocks are whizzing past your head. What in the hell is this, you shout. Mogir shakes his head. A stone slams into the shield of a nearby Varl, exploding in a flash of light and razor-sharp fragments. Get behind the shield banger, shouts Mogir as you approach for a fight. Dredge draw a line. It's going to be 737 versus 860 of us. Hell yeah, we finally have them outnumbered. Even from here, you can see nervous glances amongst the enemy's ranks. This looks like a good chance to press your advantage. Charge! We will drink from your skull. Honestly, rushing into battle has worked out pretty well for us all through here, so I'm going to continue doing the same thing. In this case, we have an interesting choice in front of us. Oh, we have Fasolt, too. What does he do? I can't right-click him or anything to figure out what his abilities are. I wish I knew. We have an interesting thing to think about right here. We could drop Bercy, because I don't think Bercy is not quite as useful as Gunnulf and Hakon for us at the moment. If he levels up a little bit more, I could definitely see him being a force of nature in the future, but for now I think I'm going to swap him for Mogir. With Hakon up front, let's go ahead and I'm going to have all of my tanks move first. Having 2 tanks, 2 DPSers, and 2 support type classes is really making me feel pretty safe here. I haven't had a chance to look and see what Fasolt does. Unfortunately, yeah, I was hoping maybe I would be able to select him somehow and have a look at what his abilities are, but there doesn't seem to be any way to look at your roster once you're in this situation, so we'll leave Fasolt for another time. We do need to level everyone up evenly, I would guess, because at a certain point you've got to assume there's not going to be the time to rest and relax and allow people to kind of regain their stature after battles, to lick their wounds, and so I think I am going to have to get like a front line and a back line for these cases. What in the hell are those? Slingers. Okay, well they've got some kind of slinger. I don't know what they do. So whenever they get hit, they retreat. This is going to be a case in which I think rushing the enemy may be what we want to do. They don't appear to have any frontline fighters to be spoke of. Or there's no frontline fighters to speak for. I don't know, grammatically. Whatever. I'm just going to leave that one behind and not think about it. I'm going to put my big hitter DPSers in the middle, so it's not allowing me to swap characters here, so I've got to get an open space so that I can do it. We'll put them right there. I know the humans can move pretty quickly. We're going to press this direction as hard as we can, because when you're surrounded, everybody knows, or at least if you play strategy games, you know that when you're surrounded, the only strategy that's typically employed is to push really hard in one direction unless you've got a superior force. So you want to push one direction as hard as you physically can. And while that sounds like something that somebody on iTunes might do, pushing one direction, they're a band. You get it? Bad joke. That's gonna be our plan from here on out. Let's ready the field. And we are gonna use up as much of our willpower in the early battle as we can. So let's get people as close to the front lines as is available at this point. We also want to look and see who's going to be fighting first. And it appears as though this entire side of the battlefield is going to be going second. How far is their range would be my other question. I have no idea what to do with this battle right here, so this is going to be kind of a little bit of a learning opportunity as we figure out what their range looks like and what their abilities look like. I doubt that they're going to be able to hit me that hard. I mean, their armor's pretty terrible. I don't want to fight a two-fronted battle, though. I really, really want to avoid that. Who's up next? That guy way in the back. See, what I don't want to do is I don't want to split people to each side. Now, 3 versus 5 on each side might work out in our favor, but I'm not so confident as to declare that my strategy. I kind of want to push one direction, then turn around and clean back the other way, which I think is what I'm going to do. Let's just stick with it here. We may take some initial damage in that case, but it will get us away from the front. Plus, with their limited ability to penetrate armor, there are some interesting opportunities on this side for tempests and things of that nature. There's also an opportunity for a sundering impact right there. So we do have options in a certain respect. We've got at least a turn or so to kind of figure out what we want to do here. Although a well-placed Tempest would lay them low like instantly, so something to think about in that case. I do feel like I'm going to have one guy kind of left out in this situation, unfortunately. I'm just going to press this way, and whatever happens, happens. We'll send one guy over here to just kind of stall. He'll be our sacrificial force. If I had pressed that a little bit closer, this would have worked out a little bit better, but unfortunately, if dreams and wishes were candy and fishes, every day would be something rather. And he's promoted again. He's so good at killing people. I don't know what it is about Gunnulf. He's just amazing at murder. And that's why we love him. Over here on this side, we do have an opportunity to get somebody into battle. On each side, interestingly enough, they said that if we attack them in melee, they back off, which makes me wonder what'll happen if I use Impale. Let's test it out. Let's see exactly what's going to happen here, because if he's forced to move several spaces after I Impale him, that's going to work out amazingly for this ability. Yep, there it is. It worked out exactly how I wanted it to, so spearmen are going to be an optimal force for this battle. On that side, I'm not going to... Yeah, let's actually have him join this fight over here. Since there's nothing he can... It's going to take him 2 turns to close with those ranks anyways. Who's up next? That guy? And then we're back to the front of our rotation. Okay. I'll probably try and kill him off in the next turn, maybe. In any case, let's get over here. He can do 1 damage to this gentleman. Let's shatter some armor. And so now he's down to pretty much bitch mode. He's going to be annihilated. They don't look like they hurt us too badly. So things to consider in this exchange is it doesn't look like they're able to really deal damage on the level of any melee force. I mean, it seems like they can only really do kind of, what, they have like 9 strength. So it's like having a force full of archers. I think this is more of a learning fight. They're not actually trying to challenge us here. They just want us to kind of take a look at what they're fielding. And then from there, maybe the secondary fight will be more of a mixture of units. Over here, what I'd like to do is we can do 3 damage right there. Yeah, let's just go for the willpower and we'll kill him off, especially since over on this side, they're about to have their turn, so we may as well. Unfortunately, that movement has blocked me off, which is irritating. I've really got to get better at moving some of these bigger pieces around. It's strange. In a lifetime of playing tabletop games, I'm only used to moving like single square objects, so moving, whenever I had a dungeon master, moving anything that like occupied multiple squares, I always screw up like this. Luckily, he doesn't really deal that much damage anyways, so I don't know. I have made a mistake here. I mean, I would like to deal damage on somebody, but unfortunately, Well, I suppose I'll have him disengage back to there. Kind of rotate people around and see what happens. 2 damage taken by our lowly spearman there. He has Sundering Impact, doesn't he? Oh, this is going to be lovely. Well, you can see that they're adjacent, and that is one of the nice things about Sundering Impact. And there it is right there. We got a nice little jump in damage, so we should be able to take this group apart and wipe them out pretty easily and quickly, I think. He can deal 8 damage to him, or he can deal 8 damage to him. I'm going to go for this guy since he is a frontline combatant. Alrighty, and that leaves us with the mighty Luden. And once again, I think we're going to try and impale over here. This ability is really fantastic for some of these guys. And so now take your freebie moves and bleed to death. Very, very nice. I love it. I love it when my enemies are bleeding from all of their orifices. I prefer to keep it that way. He's got 7 strength, which means he can deal a 4 to him. So let's go ahead and limit his combat effective. No. Woohoo, that was close. That was a vicarious placement of icons. There it is. And he's going to have to walk away, of course. With Mogir, I think I'm going to have him come on over to here. We're going to take a swipe at this guy. It's one of the few times where I feel like fighting on multiple fronts has worked out in my favor. It's weird. I'm always terrified of fighting on multiple fronts because you know how that works out, but you don't need any like Barbarossa type stuff happening up in here. But in this case, it seems to have worked to our advantage, so that's fine. Oh, he bleeds until his next turn too, so if you can knock him around multiple times, that's great. I love this. I've got a big old grin on my face right now. I really like the way this has been going down. Let's one-shot him so he's no longer a problem. This is a great opportunity to get some free XP for the people that haven't been able to garner it in the last couple episodes. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to come down here with Gunnulf, and he's going to earn his keep with a well-placed Tempest. And very nice, there it is. So my hope is that now I can have Eric kill off a few guys down here. I would love for Luden to kill him off, because Luden hasn't gotten any XP as of yet, and we need to keep him leveling up. There we go. He's finally got himself a kill, but that's only +1, unfortunately. That's not really going to be enough to have him handle his business. I'm going to send Eric over. Eric can kill the guy that's right in front of him. It'll be okay. On this side, I'm going to keep Mogir moving. We'll give him a little bit of extra willpower. Because I don't know if it's going to carry into the next fight, and I am semi-interested in jumping into the next fight after this one if there is one, just to limit my losses and maybe get some treasure or something, but it's always risky. It's always kind of scary jumping into battles that you're not sure you're ready for. He needs to get some XP, so I'm going to have him burn a couple willpower to get down here and kill this guy, because we definitely want to level up our tanks. It's kind of like gearing your tanks in MMOs. Tanks and healers, like DPS, don't like to hear it, but you know, you've got to have a rotation on gearing people up, and I prefer to get my tanks geared up first if I can. Although, you do have to keep it even. You don't level up the DPSers, then you can't clear the DPS test fights. You don't level up the healers, you can't keep the tanks up. You don't level up the tanks, you can't keep the tanks up either. So, you know, it's kind of a catch-22. No matter what you do, it's a horrid mess of shit and pain and drama. I'm gonna have him just wipe everybody out here with Tempest because I like doing it. It makes me happy. And so there it is, 2 more deaths. You take a moment to survey the battlefield. The enemy is being pushed back down the line as always. I'm gonna pull back. I mean, we do have our entire fighting force right here, but the last time we did this, it really, really backfired on us, which makes me super worried about doing it. Plus, we're like at the end of the episode anyways, so I feel like let's just pull back, whatever. We lose 5 fighters and 23 Varl, not bad at all. And so what did that do for us with regards to our renown? It gave us about 13, okay. What in the depths are these, you wonder, looking at the unusual Dredge slingers? Nobody knows. Without warning, a deranged and half-dead slag stumbles out of brush, throwing itself upon the yaks attached to the treasure cart. Surprised Varl pull weapons, but not before the whole cart slides off slick rock and down a sheer drop. stopped suddenly by a low growl. The enormous metal wagon dangles precariously off a cliff. From the end swings a confused Yox, still tied to its reins. On top, the dredge hangs on tight, keeping the whole thing from plummeting over the side is Gunnulf, one hand white-knuckling the cart, the other wrapped around a tree trunk. Yikes, that's a horrible. Gunnulf is one of my main shooters too. He's one of my main men, so I think... You know what, treasure's not as important as human lives. Tell him to let go. My duty, he grunts. He doesn't budge. You wonder how much of this responsibility defines his reason for living. The dredge has found some footing and is trying to clamber up over the cart. The tree creaks under the weight. I'll try and help him. You grab the cart and pull. You barely make any ground when the tree's holding onto you tears from the ground, dragging you with a terrified force towards the edge. God, this is kind of they're testing your bowls right here. They really want to see if you have a pair that clank, or if you're just like, let them have the treasure. And I don't know if mine clank right now. I am not sure as to the metallurgy of my pair at the moment. So, God. Let's... Once again, human lives. I'd rather keep Gunnulf. He's too useful to me. With a roar that sounds more like you just stabbed him in the side than gave an order, Gunnulf lets go of the cart. It flips over the side in a flash, followed much later by a dull thud and crack. At the base of the steep cliff, hundreds of yards below, the treasure cart has exploded into a frozen firework of gold, valuables, Yox and dredge gore. That was a costly mistake, grits Ubin between clenched teeth. You wonder why that dredge went after the Yox in the first place. Then you realize the bigger problem is the vast fortune now laying at the bottom of the cliff. Let's leave it up to Ubin. What choice do we have, he mutters. Even if we could gather it up, we've got nothing to haul it. He sounds defeated, but resolute in moving on. You begrudgingly set off, leaving a king's ransom beneath your feet. Well, you know what? It's one of those situations where I'm just simply not going to risk my main man. Unfortunately, if it was anybody else, I might have let it happen. We're going to camp here, and I think we're going to break off the episode. So my name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here, taking a look at the Banner Saga. I hope you're enjoying the series, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Take care out there, everybody, and I will see you there.